last-minute shakeup at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning ride is okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always as simple as 1, 2, 3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
what's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
let NASM1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Master Instructor Roundtable. I'm Marty Miller. Normally, I'm here with my dear friend, co-host Wendy Batts. Wendy is unable to make it this week, but she's obviously going to be near and dear in our heart, and she will be back next week with us. This week, though, we have a very special guest. I've been excited about this podcast since we put it on the calendar. We got a special guest who's made his mark in what I would say is making corrective exercise look cool. I can't wait till you see and understand his background and his methodology. So we are going to bring in special guest, Dr. Mike from MoveU, to talk about movement dysfunction this week.
Yeah.
There he is, Dr. Mike.
Marty.
How's it going, buddy?
Dude, Marty, we chat all the time now, and I honestly couldn't be happier. Really, I'm honored to be part of this NASM podcast and NASM. I mean, you guys have been the gold standard since I was young, and to be here today is an honor, and to be chatting with you about this is just so mentally stimulating for me, and so I couldn't be happier and more proud and honored to be here. So thank you.
Awesome. Now, I really appreciate taking time out of your busy schedule. I know how busy you are, but I do know your passion, and we're going to get into that. And what I would like to do to kind of set the stage is you've got a really interesting background. I think it's important for our listeners who are ranging from experienced personal trainers. They could have their corrective exercise specialists as well, maybe performance enhancement. And we also have some people that are brand new to the industry. Could you share a little bit about your background and really who you are?
Sure, I'd love to. I actually, it all started when I was a pizza delivery boy. When I was 18 years old, I delivered pizza to a guy's house. And every time he answered the door, he had a nice house, a nice truck, and he always had cute girls there. And I was in a little town called Cortland, Ohio. And there was no social media back then. So I really didn't have anybody like aspirational other than Tiger Woods. And he was a chiropractor. And so I delivered pizzas to him. And then eventually he hired me. And I was under his wing for like 6 years. And he was a lot on the exercise movement side. And so I actually ran and really created the movement rehab section of the practice when I was 18, 19 years old. Really enjoyed it. Got a bachelor to get my prereqs, went to chiropractic college. Really connected with the alignment aspect of chiropractic. Really made sense to me about alignment overall, joint alignment, body alignment. The tool they gave us, the adjustment, was pretty much the primary tool that was taught in the curriculum to address this misalignment. I used it for years, I still do, but I really found that people that can't realign themselves with their bodies and really not need to be physically realigned by somebody else. Now, there is time and place for that, I believe, because I've seen amazing things happen and it can accelerate progress. And so, I actually, in my degree, I became part of the sports council, and this is where I got into NASM, active release technique, following people like ART, Greg Rose with TPI, Gray Cook, Gary Gray, getting into McKinsey methodology, focusing on Stuart McGill's work, and really putting that to practice in 2009 when I moved to California. Moved out here to start a private practice, sports injury and rehab. Always had a facility for the first 6 years within an athletic training center. So I'd work side by side with coaches, with physical therapists. This was my whole compass. My whole scope was traveling with coaches, with PTs, with myself, to X Games, to the USA Rugby events, working on these athletes, helping the athletes improve, and also, just becoming more passionate about the body movement and mechanic side. This is what I love more than anything. I believe in people. That's where Fix Your Shit is. We can get into that, but really gravitating towards joint alignment, body alignment through conscious movement. And then in 2015, I was part of that system, Marty, that I was inside of healthcare, and I was inside of it for even when I was 18, workers' comp, Medicare, Medicaid, PPOs, HMOs, did some rounds at the VA, worked with pain management doctors, orthopedic surgeons, medical doctors. Like, I was in that system, and I became so frustrated with it because I saw this system. I saw people that, like you and me, who are active adults, who really have goals and dreams about living their life, climbing mountains, being able to achieve, and they get put in, they go into this system, and this system disabled them mentally, physically, treated their symptoms, treated just this most surface layer of symptoms through invasive procedures where the risks aren't even disclosed to them. And I go, what do I do? And so I started making social media videos in 2015. And really, we were probably one of the first to ever make a combo where I was an educator and I had a model and I would teach with that model. And it took off, and gaining just, hundreds of thousands of followers. And I go, what do I do with this? I knew that I believed that I had the answer, the solution for hundreds of millions of people on, like, if they would just take this path instead of this path, they will improve the right way, the real way, from the root. And so that was the passion behind the videos, is because I had the experience. I believe I had the experience in healthcare. I saw it. I had the experience with patients. I learned what worked, what didn't work. I'm still learning today, as we all are, right? And that passion came through, and then I turned that into what is now MoveU. And I still, to this day, a decade later, create educational videos. And we have an app with thousands of members and different programming for different conditions, different regions of the body, different misalignments, where some of our audience who qualifies for those, who wants to improve more than some short Instagram or YouTube videos, enters into the membership and completes those different tracks to make real progress, because I've created a methodology as well. I have a MoveU methodology, which is a step-by-step. It's an alignment training system to help you gain better alignment and awareness of your body position through strength movements, through mobility movements. But it's less about sets and reps and more about connection to the alignment of your body through conscious, controlled movements, ultimately giving people, empowering people to live free from pain. The people that enroll with me usually have a limitation, a symptom. They have a disc herniation, a hip impingement. And I'm going to tell you guys, the coaches out there, these things may sound really scary to you guys, but once you understand, I'll share with you guys as much as I can in this episode, that these conditions and symptoms aren't scary. The medical just highlights the 0.001% of the time where it could be scary. It's like the chance of driving your car in the sun and getting hit by lightning. Yes, it happens. And we'll find a couple cases around the world that happen every other day. But I promise you guys, these symptoms aren't scary when you understand the cause of what causes these hip impingements, what causes these herniations. When you understand the simplicity of the cause, and you can simply strengthen and mobilize the person in the opposite direction of what caused it, they gain steady progress that lasts. And so that's what I hope to share with you guys all today, and be connected with all of you guys in the future to help you guys help your clients move better, live better, and stay out of that system that's just yanks you in and keeps you in.
No doubt. So it's interesting because, I'm kind of like 8-10 years ahead of what you were kind of, alluding to. So when I went to school for athletic training, it was basically triage, and you would look at a joint above or below. We were never ever taught to look at the entire body. So when I went into NASM and learned this system, I had to be ready to unlearn, still use my anatomy, still use my physiology, it was all good. But once I saw, let's look at global movement, then we do X, Y, and Z, then we have correctives into stabilization, into strength. It was like that light bulb moment. So that's kind of how I made the change from traditional, medicine, sports medicine, strength and conditioning, into that new mindset. And, Dr. Mike, what I've always said about you is you're one of the first, if not the first person that I have seen that has made corrective exercise look cool. Because a lot of people, I didn't have social media like you. I had to go learn. So I didn't really have something to go watch and copy. I had to figure it out on my own. And there's nothing wrong with learning by what we have to, aspire to now on Instagram and that. But it's easy to make high intensity look cool. But can you talk about how your training philosophy kind of changed and how you really, knew, or maybe you didn't know, but you filled a gap in the market and really just stick to some challenging exercises, but more those correctives that you don't really see out there, in social media unless someone's following you?
Well, to go back, and I'd love to answer that. It's a great question. But go back, I'm wondering what you think on this. It's like, because when I learned this joint, and like if you go into, let's just say your average PT, or even definitely in the medical side, low back, if it's a disc herniation, the focus is actually so zoomed in on those two vertebrae on that one disc. They don't even see the lumbar spine as a whole. They just see this. And so what I'm wondering if you believe that the beginning of education does or is most effectively learned, zoomed in on that level, and then slowly zoomed out into the point where ultimately you start seeing full body connection. Because myself, I didn't see full body connection until I was in it for 15 years.
Right.
So I'm wondering if the medical dog, those people are so, let's just say, so novice that they've never gotten past those two segments, let alone the full body. And I'm curious what your approach, what you've seen about if that's true to your knowledge as well.
Right. It's interesting you asked me a question because I had a very awesome, impactful, and direct conversation with my sister-in-law today. She's one of the smartest physician assistants I've seen, owns a practice out in Arizona. And I was asking her about screenings for high school physicals and what do they do? And she basically said, well, we'll ask them, do they have any injuries? Can you move your limbs? And can you jump up and down? Now, they're not looking at, are they moving their limbs functionally the way we would want to see? When they're jumping up and down, is the knee caving in? Is the low back? And if they went deeper, they don't have time because there's so many other things that they're forced to do, talking about socioeconomic issues, talking about, are they smoking? Are they drinking? So I think, what's coming out of this, I had put a script together, but I knew you and I would go down different directions. I've said this before. I love our healthcare specialists, right? When things really go bad at that level, you need someone that has basically studied that.
The 1 to 3% of the time.
Right. But I've always said fitness professionals, and now let's include athletic trainers, physical therapists, other people that do what we do, manual therapists, we're the front line to true healthcare, right? Because we have the ability, because we're never going to specialize on a joint, right? We're never going to repair a joint with surgical intervention. We are the globalists that are the ones that look at the whole body to begin with. So that's always been my mission since I started with NASM, is how do we get more fitness professionals to always do movement screening, understand movement dysfunction, give people a great workout while you fix your stuff, because that's really the biggest impact I think we can have in the industry.
Yeah. And Marty, going back to that is speaking on that, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Go on with that. It'll pop back in my head here. By the way, my IQ is up today. By the way, my IQ is up. Just so you know, that one was just slip right there.
Right. No worries. Not at all. I know it's early out in California.
What was the question that you originally asked me, Marty? Do you remember?
I was asking about, when you made the switch, like I had to kind of unlearn what I learned initially, and then how, I had to take that full global approach instead of going joint by joint. And, we know we have professionals in the medical industry that they're going to be there to do that, right? Because there is that time where someone dislocates a shoulder, ruptures a disc, tears an ACL. not take anything away from those people by any means. They're amazing at what they do.
I am, because I'm taking a lot away from those people.
Right.
You could take, if you take any joint in the body, hip, shoulder, I will find an MRI study that takes MRIs of 250 to 300 people that are asymptomatic, adults that are asymptomatic. 70% of those will have clinically relevant findings on that MRI, but have no symptoms. So the point is those people, remember, when you have a disc that is herniated, a disc that is bulged. You still see me, Marty?
Yep.
Okay, we switch wings. When you have a disc that is herniated and a disc that is bulged, the surgeon doesn't repair the disc. They cut off the piece that's sticking out, which now it's just like cutting off an arm. When you cut off this part of your arm, you now have a stump sticking out with flesh, and they'll try to burn that. So there's no repair. Right. The repair is a patch-up job. Your body, you have in your body right now, this is one thing, Marty, that is not talked about, and it is innate healing. Innate healing is your body's natural built-in mechanisms to heal an area. This is not taught in medical schools. This is not taught with physical therapists. We're taught that, if you have a labrum tear, you need to have that surgically repaired. The truth is, if you learn how to position your body in a way that stops the continual grinding on it, your body is right now, if you have a labrum tear out there, a meniscus tear, a disc tear, your body right now is constantly trying to lay down fibroblasts, which create new cartilage, which we can call scar tissue, which are 70, 80% the original strength, which is stronger than any ropes that you're going to tie through those. So the point is, when you actually can position yourself into alignment in a long enough period of time for your body, so most people will continue to stay injured because their movement, they're outpacing the poor alignment, the poor movement of their body is outpacing their body's speed and ability to heal. So when you can actually improve that movement, and when you can improve it, you can now let your body finally outpace your body's ability to heal, outpace the movement. And now your body will naturally pin down. Your body will pin and scar that labrum back down. It will connect. It will repair that tear through different connective tissue. Right. This happens. I have a torn labrum in my shoulder. I got a torn meniscus in my knee. I've never had any surgical intervention. So I am taking it away from the healthcare on this because people go, I have a torn meniscus. I need surgery. I'm like, no, you don't.
Right. At least minimum, let's try interventions first, right? You know what I mean? For sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, how does it work when members go, I want to try working out. Let me try.
Right. But you know, I think what the biggest thing also, Dr. Mike, where we want to talk to our fitness professionals is, you mentioned it, if we fix posture, we can eliminate, but we have to also be careful how we load. We don't want to feed into those movement compensations, because now we're going to even fast track the inflammation, et cetera, more so.
You know, I always say posture is the position you spend most of your time in. Posture is the position you spend most of your time in. So, you know, you take the average person with a labral tear, they're going to present easily. They're going to have a scapula that's anterior tilted. They're going to have one that's a scapula that's internally rotated, winging. And you have them do push-ups, it's going to be in that position. If they're standing for their family pictures, that shoulder is doing that. They have no awareness of it. And so until you set that position and teach them to improve that positioning, it remains no matter what exercise. Shoulder presses, there's certain movements that are going to accelerate that degeneration and wear. Anything you're pushing into end range. So these people carry their posture with them when they have sex, when they sleep, when they sit, when they do push-ups. And so that's why just doing the 7 movements is a good thing, but doing those in alignment is the best thing.
Right. So when and how did you create your MoveU philosophy? How did that come about?
Boy, what an evolution. You know, I mean, I would say that the most stark to get godly, if that's what it was, is I have had whether I was struck with something or inherited something. I've had times in my life where I was struck with something, and then I committed. The methodology was 2020 October. I was struck with something, and I saw the tip of an iceberg, and specifically, it began with the back and the core. Because I saw something, I knew a simplification needed to be made. But let me dive into that in a second. Let me go back. The challenge with continuing education, physical therapist, biomechanist, PhD, what happens is the more you learn about an area, the higher level of the more complex terminology you need to know to advance. And so nowhere in there, in these PhDs and these DCs, is there ever a time to go, these complex terminologies are simplified for the everyday person. That doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And the reason it doesn't exist is because it can really suck to simplify things. It depends on your mission. Mine is I don't think of myself as the smartest person. I don't. I graduated high school with a 1.7 GPA. Come on, I'm kind of like part hillbilly. I graduated, I like failed all my English classes, but then I got a doctorate degree. So I got this huge gap of these like complex terms, and I don't even know what a noun is. I now know what pronouns are, unfortunately, but I don't even know what these are. And so the point is I'm like, okay, like let me make this to talk to like my younger self. Right. And so with the back and the core, that's how the method began. It really began by going, man, it's my favorite area of the body. And we can say, you can argue that it starts with the foot, it starts with the back and the core. But I love the back and the core. It's people love the core as well. It's an attractive area. Back pain is the number one cause of disability in the world. And so I began building that method in 2020, focusing on simplifying the complex terms. You get words like extension, lateral tilting, rotation, lateral tilt plus rotation. I've actually taken these words and moved them into more of extension of the spine, flexion of the spine, tilting, double tilting. And what I did was I created the methodology for the back and the core because people present with different areas. Primarily what I've seen is I've measured about 7,000 to 8,000 people's pelvic tilt. And I have calipers and I measure them. And what I find I have found correlations that exist. For example, people have hip impingement, labral tears. 100% of them had presented an anterior tilt. 100%. I've never seen one that hasn't. So pelvic tilt neutral is about, let's just call an average of 10 degrees on the left-hand side. We actually always have a little more posterior tilt. We naturally have more posterior tilt on the right in relation to the left. We naturally carry that. And I looked into the Postural Restoration Institute, PRI, and they related to our organs and how we have liver over here. I read that. I'm like, okay, that's good enough for me for now. But the point is that I found that these correlations, the people who presented with disc bulge, disc herniation, sciatica from disc bulge, almost always presented in a posterior tilt. And that posterior tilt drags the spine with it into a flattened position. Anterior tilt drags the spine into extension mostly. In that anterior tilt position, related with things, SI joint pain, facet joint pain, spinal stenosis. And so then there's a lateral tilt component. I found that if that right hip, let's say a right hip was laterally tilted higher, a right hip higher than the left. If you have a right hip higher than the left and you're in anterior tilt extension, that causes you're more likely to experience joint compression on the right, SI joint, facet joint. But because the right side is compressed, it causes the disc to move out to the left. So generally speaking, somebody who's in a posterior tilt, flattened back with a right high hip, that compresses the disc down on the right and forces the bulge to go out the left. So these people had left sciatica. So these correlations, and I've linked all of these up to research to confirm my own findings, and they hold true. And so what I did with the beginning of the method was to create was to help people solve these issues through simplifying that movement, just to ultimately help people strengthen and mobilize their body in the opposite direction of the misalignment. Simple. But as I was completing the method of the back and the core, I realized, wait a second, if the right hip is high, oftentimes that can be caused from a left foot that collapses. If the left arch drops, the left hip goes down and the right hip stays up. So I go, oh, we need to move down now to knee, ankle, and foot and build that part of the methodology as well. And also with the right hips high, the left shoulder's high. And so it began with the back and the core, and I built it to expand to 5 key areas: the back and the core, the hips and the glutes, the knee, ankle, and the foot, the shoulder and the upper back, and the head and the neck. These 5 interconnected, interdependent regions. And I found that by teaching people the way I learned, one area at a time, back in the core, learn to create better alignment in this area, and then move on to an adjacent area of the body, the shoulders and the upper back. Ultimately, when understanding the entire method, you have full body awareness. And I call that's called positional presence, which is total body awareness to the alignment of the joints of your body, positional presence. If you only understood the back and the core, you could have, it's called joint centration, which is a term from the Prague School of Rehabilitation, which really stuck me. Joint centration is the holy grail of alignment. It's the optimal position of the joint where there's the maximal contact of joint surfaces. And this is static and through movement. There is an ideal centrated position for every. If you're falling head first off a 10-story building, there is an ideal centrated position for you to land. Your body may not be able to absorb those forces properly, but there is an ideal centrated position. And when you're centrated, you have 360-degree muscle balance, and you have you have equal activation on both sides. So, for example, from a trainer standpoint, if you're in, let's say you're decentrated and standing in hyperextension. Well, when you're in hyperextension, the low back erectors must shorten and tighten, and then your core must lengthen and loosen. And so a lot of people want a strong core and they're doing crunches, but when they stand up, they return back and revert back to that misaligned position, which is why they're going to be doing crunches forever until they learn how to position their body correct for the crunch first. And then that is how you permanently lengthen the tightness in the back and permanently shorten, tighten, and strengthen the muscles in the front. So that is like how mobility and strength are linked to alignment. I make alignment central. The central thing, focus on alignment, and then the tight muscles will loosen, and then the weak muscles will strengthen. And so alignment is the simplification that alignment is a simplification that is forefront and central to the methodology.
Right. Now that's beautiful, because going back to what our methodology with NASM is, it's posture, it's movement assessments, it's altered length tension relationships, all of these same, critical scientific principles that you're talking about. So that's beautiful. But before we continue, Dr. Mike, I want to let everybody know that this episode of the Master Instructor Roundtable is brought to you by NASM One. The membership, I just had something move here. I apologize for my document. Give me 1 second.
And if you guys want a MoveU educational course in your NASM curriculum, make sure you go ahead and reach out. Make sure you comment. Make sure you reach out to the right person. We get enough comment and feedback in there. You guys may have some MoveU education as part of your corrective exercise specialist continuing education.
Right. Here we go. Thank you, Dr. Mike. I had a computer glitch, so I apologize. So
I covered for you.
You were fabulous. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations. Access free CEUs and more. All this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. So, Dr. Mike, what are some of the most important foundational training techniques, regardless of who your clients are?
Well, I link things back to the 7. We could say the 7 or the most important 7, arguably. functional movements that exist, right? Our ability to push, pull, and anything push, right? Chest forward, chest away from your body, push up, push forward, push down, pull down, pull back, pull up. So your pushes, your pulls, your rotation, your squats, your hinge, your step. I think that's 7. So those are, I believe, the most fun, because no matter what sport you're doing, I train Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. If I'm doing a takedown, I may be doing 4 of those simultaneously.
Exactly.
Right. But if I'm just doing bench press, I'm practicing 1 of those. And so I believe that the 7 functionals are the most important, which is why I believe trainers are so incredibly qualified to help people fix their shit, because they are skilled in these 7. And I believe if you're doing these 7 daily, training the 7, not just doing the 7, counting out your reps, but let me go deeper. Doing those 7 in biomechanical alignment, in centrated positions, and not focusing on sets and reps, but focusing on the alignment and control of each one of those 5 regions of the body that I discussed. That is the movements. Like, those are the movements that I believe are, and I personally practice those every single morning in front of a mirror, and I watch my technique for alignment. I do these just 20 minutes there, and I jump in the cold plunge and start with a 1,000-meter row. Like, those ones hold the foundation together and allow you to run from the police, run faster than your friend, allow you to climb ropes, climb mountains, zombie apocalypse, whatever it may be, if you're tuned up in those 7. But it's how you do those 7, and that's what I'm most passionate about teaching. And there is great depth. And I don't want to hear any trainers go, "Oh, I know." There is great depth to there's depth. There's depth in terms of science and art to performing each one of those in proper alignment.
Love it. What advice would you give to newer fitness professionals that aren't familiar with true corrective exercise strategies? Obviously, NASM has the corrective exercise specialist course, so we always recommend that. But building off those concepts into more corrective exercise design.
New coaches out there. First of all, what I think is fantastic when new coaches is this: you guys pick. It's a low, especially nowadays. Look, I teach it, and I volunteer different physical therapy colleges, chiropractic college. The amount of money it costs to go through those, and the years and years it takes to get through this, it basically forces you into that profession because you paid so much for it. You guys, as special as new NASM coaches, you guys are in. The great thing is you're in at a low barrier of entry, but your ability to make changes on your clients and the world it is the possibility is endless, especially with the availability of knowledge today. So, if you're doing this for a hobby or something, like anything, guys, I think anything that any trainer should do, you should do it well. Like, if you're going to be a coach, like, dive into it. You should be, you're in the right industry if you become passionate and excited to actually help your clients improve. And that means improving your knowledge as well. That means you learning. Guys, the availability of resources, NASM Corrective, MoveU. I have more knowledge in information on movement than every physical therapy college's curriculum combined in the country. This is my theory based on when I've seen the corrective, the movement curriculum for 3 PT colleges. Right. And now I can say, I think there's about 100 of them. It might be a stretch to say all of them combined, but maybe half of them combined. The point is the availability of research and resources for you guys right now is absolutely endless. And for any new coach, you should love this. Like, you should be excited to show up, excited to help people grow. If you're finding yourself being monotonous and just counting cards and waiting to Tinder your date while you throw your client on a rowing machine so you can sex the Tinder date, you're not growing. You're not learning. Like, when you look at a client, there's always something to improve with them. There's always something, a position they could be in, a way to breathe. There's something to help connect them to it. And it becomes very great satisfaction to help them understand that as well. So I don't know if it's a long-winded answer, but basically, if You should be learning. You should be growing. That's how you know you're in the right place. If you're like, then honestly, you're probably not, or you don't value continuing education yourself. And in that case, you need to fix your shit and do it.
Love it. Last question for you, Dr. Mike. Where do you see the fitness industry in 1 to 3 years?
Well, it might be a little overzealous. In the fitness, well, I'm not in the fitness industry. I'm a combination. So yeah, I do believe there's great value to one-on-one training. I still think there's great value in one-on-one training in person. Great value in group training, especially great value in finding facilities that offer membership models and group training with the community. I think those are fantastic. That's an area that, we're diving into as well. Marty is getting involved with different aspects of other businesses, of Keno Tech and other ones. But there is a digital, helping people digitally is not going anywhere, especially after COVID, and now the cost of travel. And so the ability to train people digitally, I believe is going to, so long as different technology continues to grow, there's huge value in that space. There's a great value to that too. You guys in person, there's two aspects. When you're in person, you are trading your time for money, but you are at the same time getting real world experience. And when you teach, like I teach right now, which is thousands of members and millions of this and that, you kind of can lose connection with people, but you can make a bigger impact as a whole and also have more freedom of financial freedom and also more freedom of time by doing that. So I think what I'm telling your coaches is that, like, look, there's more than just the one-on-one in-person experience. Like, that is a great way, but to build yourself to be able to help people digitally as well, or in a group format, always learn to grow. If your goal is to grow financially, you got to think outside the box. You got to just go, how do I not get stuck in this rat race, and how do I grow? But there's so much technology, softwares, resources available now for you to do that. And I don't think I really answered that question, by the way.
No, I think you did, because you were a pioneer all the way back in 2015, starting to think about communicating with consumers and doing things online with education. So I think you answered it perfectly from, what you've been able to achieve. And there's a lot of different ways to go there. So
and if I could say this too, Marty, I do believe in the value of movement analysis software. I think it is the future. It's here now. Right now, Marty's with Keno Tech, and I'm working with Keno Tech as well, which is a software. It's a hardware and software that analyzes your client's movement, and it quantifies it with actual data, and it produces a visual that allows your clients to see themselves moving. And I'm telling you guys something. When your clients see themselves moving, they go, their eyes open. And so I believe the future is moving towards more of a quantifiable assessment with technology. And it's going to allow people to have a benchmark, and then also planning and programming to help them improve that quantitatively, not just qualitatively based on I want to lose fat and gain muscle.
Right.
And so that aspect is, I'm a huge proponent. I'm investing in that industry myself. And eventually that industry is going to be moving on to phone. You could do that on a phone. It's going there. Currently, the camera systems, like you have LiDAR cameras, they use a laser. It's the most accurate. There's RGB cameras, and there's also there's the limitation of phone assessment is limited by the camera itself, its ability to perceive depth. So I'm a huge fan of what Keno Tech, and there's other companies as well that are doing this movement assessment. But that is a huge area that you guys all need to dive into. All you guys need to look into this, because you're going to learn too from this.
Yeah, I think technology, AI, that's right. I think we're getting an understanding of what the value of it is and where it's going to be. But as you said, Dr. Mike, it's not going anywhere. So we did have a comment, and as we wrap up, we always ask this: where can our wonderful audience find you?
Well, look, MoveU everywhere, MoveU, okay? And make sure you find it, MoveU.com. MoveU on Instagram, MoveU on Facebook. Use it, because I paid a lot of money for those damn handles. Pay a lot of money to use it. It's like the swimming pool. I'm like, I paid good money for this pool. You get in that pool and enjoy it.
Exactly.
So MoveU all over the place. MoveU in the App Store, MoveU.com. If you're interested in getting into the MoveU programming, there's going to be future coaching opportunities for you guys as well there. So I'd get into it now. All the programming you can find on MoveU.com. Like I said, MoveU Instagram, MoveU YouTube, MoveU Facebook, but Instagram, YouTube, MoveU.com, main channels out there. Make sure you follow us. Our tagline is fix your shit. And you tell your clients that too. I know I'm not supposed to swear here, but fix your shit is trademarked. That's my freedom of speech, Marty. It's my First Amendment right. Okay?
You got it.
It means take ownership of your body. Take ownership of yourself. Right. Trainers, you guys all need to fix your shit and grow and improve yourself as a trainer, as yourself personally, and you need to help your clients fix their shit so they can get to their dreams and goals too. And Marty, we're ending already. Why is this the last question? It's 41 minutes. It's nothing. We're just
teasing so that way we can bring you back. I don't want to give up all the good stuff right away. I want to make the crowd and the audience reach out to me and be like, bring them back, bring them back.
All right. Well, you think they're going to do that? I don't know how it went today.
Well, they got my email address. So yes, we're going to close with that. Dr. Mike, I can't thank you enough. And I know that you're good friends with everybody here at NASM. And I'm just going to say, keep an eye out. You never know what's coming around the corner. So Dr. Mike, keep going out there, educating people. We can't take enough of your time. Marty,
you're the man. You're so knowledgeable, passionate. I become good friends with you. I love chatting with you, talking with you. I really, hope, pray, and I'm going to work towards this growing for the next 10 to 15 years so we can help the world move better, live better. We can make more. Everyone can make more, earn more, all the great things that come along with that. So I feel like we're just getting started. And this is just me just trying to crack the ice into NASM. So maybe we may have left a little crack here and we can hop on in there and we can, rise the tides and everybody lifts up, that nice little line that people say.
I love it.
All right, Marty.
Appreciate you as always. Hey, and everyone that joined us today, thank you so much. And we can't wait to have Wendy back next week. You guys can get a hold of me at marty.miller@nasm.org. Instagram right there, dr.martymiller72. Thank you for joining. And until next week, have a great one.